coming, so I called Kevin Hancock, and I said, hey, these gals, they don't want to listen to me speak up here, so I said, you got to give me somebody, and please. So he went around begging, so thanks for coming. And so we have Bill Beckman and Amy Bircher and Amy Voorman, and Bill with ODA and Amy with Soil and Water, and the other Amy with FSA. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
Mr. Beckman, such a gentleman, he let ladies go first. So thank you for inviting us, for having us. Thank you to the Rotary for inviting the area farmers. I've been in the Defiance County office for about a year now, so I see familiar faces, but I haven't got good enough to put names to them yet, except for Mr. Peter.
Wow.
He's married to a family friend, so yeah. If you can't forget Jeff, you can never forget a Gabers either, so he married into the right family. I just wanted to give a little overview of the Farm Service Agency and what I and the staff there do. We take the regulations that your senators and congressmen put together for the Farm Bill every year, very small portion of the Farm Bill. We have lots of different programs. We do a lot with conservation, which Bill and Amy are going to talk about a little bit more as far as ODA and the local county soil and water office. We do a lot of that. Our conservation programs, we have different land qualifications that you have to meet. Again, we take the regulations and follow them and explain them to you. So there's lots of regulations and details that you have to follow. And there's always a management activity put in there too. So it's a little bit more than just saying you have a grass strip along the side and that you're doing your part. But it is all well worth it, and is all very good for the environment and for agriculture as a whole. We have a new farm bill coming, so that means there will be changes in our office. We don't know what they will be yet. We're always the last to know. So if any of you all find out, feel free to stop by and let us know what you're hearing. So, because we won't hear it until after you do. 2023, September 30th is the end of the current law, so we will see what happens after that. All they are really telling us right now is this will be the largest farm bill that there has been yet, and it'll be over $1 trillion. So again, just remember the farming community gets a very, very small part of that. So a lot of that goes to SNAP and help for those that are less fortunate. So, but we are very proud of what we do and very proud to help all of our local farmers. So they said to look for the Senate to have their farm bill proposal out sometime this summer. They said the House will take a little bit longer. So we'll see what happens. I also just wanted to let you know that we do have things other than your usual corn, beans, wheat, conservation. The FSA has programs for honeybee farmers, fish farmers. We have NAP, which is non-insured crop assistance. So crops that aren't insured, your fruits and vegetables, things like that, we have programs for that. We also do that same program on hay and forage. So we are not just for your usual, what you think of when you think of the American farmer. We have a lot of other programs, and we would love to talk to anybody about them and explain them whenever we can. With that, thank you very much for your time, and I will turn it over to Mr. Beckman.
Alright, unfortunately, I didn't bring the right cable to hook up and give a presentation, so you have to bear with me. And unfortunately for you guys, I was in Defiance's office when Bryce called working, and Kevin says, I got just the guy. So I'm probably not the best presenter, but this is what you're stuck with. So I'm Bill Beckman with ODA, and I work with H2 Ohio. H2 Ohio was launched in 2019 by Governor DeWine. clear up the harmful algae blooms in Lake Erie. So it's a collaboration between ODA, DNR, EPA, and the Lake Erie Commission. And the big goal is to reduce phosphorus coming off the fields, creating wetlands to have, looks like a settling basin, recharges the water table, does a lot of good things, address failing septic systems, and preventing land contamination. So phosphorus runoff from the fields, of course, is a big contributor, and the lower Maumee, that makes up, I don't know, Joe, I can't remember the percentage, but the large chunk of what goes in the Lake area. You've got some coming from the Detroit River, but the majority of it comes from the Maumee, and you have some coming from the Huron and Portage and things like that. So H2 Ohio incentivizes farmers with best management practices, such as draining water management structures. That's where we can control the tile coming off the fields, open and close them throughout the course of the year. Placement activities, whether that's through your corn planter or through a strip till rig, that you can place your phosphorus. These are all scientific, proven best management practice to reduce phosphorus. We have variable rate technology where they variable rate apply phosphorus to different locations in the fields based on the soil type or the zones, so what they need. And then we have cover crops, which has also been found to reduce phosphorus runoff, so we incentivize that. And then manure utilization or incorporation. So in 2022, ODA estimated the phosphorus load reduction of nearly 290,000 pounds, accounting for nearly 30% of Ohio's goal to reduce 1 million pounds. With the increased enrollment and streamlined BMPs, ODA estimates the phosphorus load reduction to increase, of course, over the next 24 and 25. EPA, their goal, or what they'll reduce in 22, is 3,800 pounds. DNR through the wetlands, 115,000 pounds, and us with H2 Ohio, 290,000 pounds. So we have 2,400 producers enrolled in 24 counties, excuse me. It was originally rolled out for the northern 14 counties, so that includes Williams, Fulton, Defiance, Lucas, Henry, Paulding, what else been missing? Wood, Allen, Hardin, Van Wert, all the ways in Mercer counties. And then we expanded it this past year to 10 new counties, and that includes Ottawa County, Sandusky County, Erie County, Seneca County, Huron County, Crawford, Wyandotte, Richland, Marion, and Shelby. So we have 1.2 million acres enrolled in other BMPs and 1.5 million acres enrolled in nutrient management plans. And the nutrient management plans, that's where somebody like Joe, that's our bread and butter. If somebody's writing a nutrient management plan based on the soil, what the fertility is, and then you apply it to that, and making sure you're following tri-state recommendations and not going over and over application. So the program interest has exceeded all our expectations. So just for you guys, we have 27% of the cropland acres in Defiance counties enrolled in H2 Ohio. I'll just hit the neighboring counties. Paulding has 52%, Putnam has 46%, Henry has 63%, Fulton 26%, and Williams 31%. So it's pretty amazing how well it was received throughout the state of Ohio, or this area, I should say. So with 920,000 acres enrolled, we have 34% of cropland across the area enrolled in H2 Ohio. So pretty good large percentage there. In 21, verified VNMP's implementation, we had 887,000 acres. 22 so far, 565,000. But there's another 353,000 in progress. So we're waiting for farmers to turn things in, what have you, to verify if they follow the nutrient management plan. In the expansion counties, we have 620,000 acres, That's 37% of their cropland acres. And nearly 540,000 reviewed and approved plans. So, so coming up for you producers out there, I know there's several H2 Ohio participants in the room. We're looking at, we're calling it H2O 2.0 right now, but that might get changed. It's pretty simple for me. So like the variable rate, we're looking at, we'll still have that, but it won't be a standalone practice. And it'll, you can do it, but you'll get a bonus if you do variable rate on top of your nutrient management plan. And these things are all subject, but this is what we're pushing for. We'll see what happens, but hopefully to make everything streamlined. Before we had, if you signed up for, say, phosphorus placement for that acre, for that 40-acre field, then that had to be placed every year for the life of the contract, which made it very hard to implement. Say, you know, the next year the guy wants to go out and put manure on. Well, if you don't place it, you're not eligible for a payment because manure is nutrients. So things like that we're hoping to streamline. We're going to do away with, when I shouldn't say do away with, we're just going to call it a cover crop program. So whether that's wheat that you're harvesting for a grain or wheat that you're, you know, using for cover crop, we don't care. We're going to pay you a payment every year, you know, through the life of the contract. So you can do wheat one year, harvest it, you'll put cereal rye out the next year, get paid for it. So all things I think will make it better and more user-friendly. And manure incorporation, we're adding some things there to hopefully open that up a little bit more so people can utilize those nutrients better throughout the course of the year. So with the expansion counties, there's a possibility this might go statewide. That depends on the budget, but we would like to expand the footprint 500,000 acres outside of WLAB, focusing on row crop and nutrient management plans, and then increase the enrollment in the WLAB to 2 million acres and build capacity at SWC's programs and delivery, and increase education and outreach through on-farm flat field days. We also had a program called two-stage ditches. Those are basically a ditch, they're overdug, they're wider, top width, and they've got a shelf where the low flow runs in this, it's a shelf with a lower channel cut. That's where it normally runs the low flow, but then when you get a storm event, of course it fills that up and deposits the sediment alongside those benches along the ditch and reducing phosphorus. So in Defiance County, there's one that we have on this slide, but I think there's another one. I was just in a meeting the other day and I heard somebody talk. I think Defiance is going to actually have 2 of those two-stage ditches. So good for you, because there's only 12 of them in the watershed, and it's $4.2 million is what's awarded for that. 8.4 miles of two-stage ditches. That'll benefit more than 18,000 acres. So that's all I have. Do you have any questions or want to talk about H2 Ohio?
I got a question.
Yeah.
The Maumee services Fort Wayne in Indiana in a certain area, you know, we're getting blamed for that. And then Indiana and Michigan, you can spread manure in the wintertime on frozen ground and you can't in Ohio. Are they leaning on them to comply to that or not?
It's frustrating. It's frustrating on our end.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it.
Right, right. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just discussing that.
Yeah.
Actually in Defiance County before I left here
Right,
today.
okay. I just wondered if
Yeah.
they made any headway.
That's a problem. So,
Are you testing the water at the state line so you know there's I heard there wasn't, but that way you know where it's coming from, so we know whether we're doing better or less? If you don't test it there, how do you know?
well, it's neat, Heidelberg, they've got a lot of models, and I don't know, at CTC just 2 weeks ago, it was pretty interesting. They had some models, and what was interesting to me was the headwaters. We have headwaters too in Ohio, but it's soil type and greater than streams of those headwaters coming in. So they seem to be more of a problem than, say, the lower Maumee, because it's flatter, things settle out. So to me, I would think think if we could do something to the headwaters more, it might help alleviate more problems, you know. Put practices there, I should say.
This is going for a couple of years. Have you done any water testing in general? At the
Yeah, we've
level
done-
to see if
they've
there's
got-
any improvement?
Yes, we do have, I'm trying to think of the term now, caught me off guard, but we do have monitoring stations that they're testing, not only in the Maumee, but in tributaries. And then we've got, Ohio State has a lot of edge of field studies, which is for phosphorus and looking at surface water and then tile water coming out, testing that. They've been doing that before H to Ohio. It's been interesting what we've been seeing from those studies. For sure.
I think one thing you can look at, for many years, the walleye fishery on Lake Erie really complained about the algae because they couldn't catch fish, the fish didn't do good, they couldn't make 2 runs in a day because they had to go out 10, 12 miles to get to clear water because when the algae blooms are, and boy, that fishery is thriving. They are killing the walleyes up there, and they're producing like crazy. So I think that tells you the impact. The other thing, I want to compliment you guys on that H2 Ohio program, because there's been programs around for a long time, and the paperwork far outweighed the acreage. You know, we could do a plan for 300 acres, and the plan was 300 pages long, and it's just not doable. You know, these guys gotta make changes on the fly with the weather and everything. And when that got moved to the soil and water, it seemed like common sense kind of took over on the paperwork. How are we gonna get this done? Have a plan, do the plan, and report it. And so I wanna compliment you on that. I think that's why guys got in the program and will stay in the program.
Right, and I don't know how you feel, Joe, but I think the education is the biggest key to this. You know, farmers looking at their soil samples and understanding, or having a better understanding of what they need and what they don't need. You know, I don't think that was happening as much, and somebody like us looking over their shoulder saying, no, you don't need to be going up putting 350 pounds of N on, or, you know, whatever that is, makes them question and think, and I think that's the big bonus of this whole program is going to be. And I think I looked it up, we're decreasing phosphorus use 600,000 ton a year. Does that seem right? Over the last, I don't know, 5 years? That's just from ODA sales reports for phosphorus. So we're definitely putting less on.
There's no room in the budget for any of these guys to let those nutrients go to the lake.
Right.
We can't afford that.
Right, yeah. Margins are pretty tight, aren't they? All right. Thank you, and thanks for the wonderful meal. That was very good.